For joining us for our special noodle class. We are again like broadcasting from our headquarters in Kagawa, Japan. And my name is Akira, and this is my colleague Megumi, and she's making the noodles for meal kit today. And so we like to get started on our noodle class today. And so we're doing um, special noodle class today on the meal kit noodles. And this is a subject that we're doing for first time, but we've realized that like how important this is, and like it's becoming like more and more important for our customers, for noodle restaurants across the world. So that's why we decided to do this on today's class. But before we get started, please allow me to spend a few minutes talking about us. So, Yamato Manufacturing Company, we are like 45-year-old manufacturer noodle making machines. We make noodle machines that are designed for restaurants and small production, as well factory. And our machines are designed to do Japanese noodles, ramen, udon, and soba, fresh noodles and from scratch. We've also been running noodle schools for the past 20 years, and we teach not only production methods of different types of noodles and soups and toppings, but also we also teach management and operation of noodle restaurants and businesses. And we have customers in different countries, 61 countries, use our machines in 61 countries. We have offices in 8 cities in Japan, including Tokyo, Osaka, and the big cities. We have an office in Korea, Seoul, Korea, Singapore, Netherlands, and New York, United States. We have distributors in different countries. So we are basically a team of noodle making experts to help our customers thrive in their businesses by providing noodle equipment, noodle recipes, training, whatever they need to start and improve their businesses. So that's about us. And so let's get started on the lecture part of this class. So noodle meal kit is what we are talking about today. And I think and we think that like the ultimate goal in providing noodle meal kit delivery products to your local customers is to develop and provide meal kits that let them have the dining quality experiences at home, or even better, or like something totally different and better or as good as the dining in quality experiences. So we can develop such packages, we can increase sales and retain customers even in the post-COVID-19 period. So let's get started. And so we are talking about like three things mainly today in this class. And so one of them is package container, like which contain like noodles, soups, sauce, oils, and toppings and others. And we're talking about like quality, customer experiences, and education, and customizing noodles. And we're gonna finish this class with a Q&A session. So if you have any questions during the class, please send them in the comments. All right, so let's start the class. And so Milky Noodles packages container. So we have a lot of customers across the world, like in different countries. And then we've seen like some of the customers like doing the meal kits and like delivery and like takeaways. And so it's very we've seen like a lot of examples, and like some of them are doing like really really good, and like some of them are really well made. And so I'd like to share with you guys like some of the examples of our customers, what they're doing for their business. And so like package for new meal kits is we're talking about components, right? So we need noodles, soups, or sauce like oil, toppings, and others like, for example, like sweets and side dishes and beverages. So noodles, how they should be packaged, how they should be packed, could be like can be like as simple as like plastic wrapping or like plastic bags that keep them from drying. And then like noodles should be dusted well to keep them from sticking. And soup, depending on like what kind of noodle dish you're providing, supplying. So soup maybe like frozen or refrigerated in a plastic bag or bottle, and sauce, oil, and like maybe in the small bottles. And toppings in plastic wraps or like bags to keep them from drying. And other things because like you're talking about like this is carton, probably paper carton box or something that you're gonna put all these in, put all these like components in. You could put like some other things like, you could have like maybe it's the sweets, like so for example like something as simple as like sticky rice cake with the sweet beans inside or things like that. A side dishes like you could provide like gyoza, like dumplings, bao, and other things like as much as you can work on them. And beverages, could have like some kind of like special tea, like local. You could probably partner up with a local business that manufacture like all these kind of teas. And so that's a package, package like that you can put in one container that like customers can probably customize to order. And so this is something that you can think about. And ever since like COVID-19 happened like in the last March, so like I think more and more people like are finding like some time on their hands, like because like they have to stay at home. And so like I think there are more people like who are willing to like do something that they were not willing to do before, for example like cooking. And so I think there are more people like who are who don't mind like doing some cooking at home, like even when it comes to like kind of this kind of like home meal kit. So, but like of course, there are some there are still like people like who don't want to spend a second on cooking, right? So I think like we have like a fast and easy type of people, and then DIY kind of spirited people. And so I think like we should provide of like few options that like that are catered to like for like fast and easy um, customers, and like cooking and prep like as minimized as like quicker as possible. So noodles should be small in size and less cooking time, or even like we could provide like cooked noodles. And toppings, for example, like vegetables, like they should be like chopped up to the final sizes, so that like they can just like stir fry them or something um, before they like put in the bowl. And it provide a variety of like ready to consume like small eats, sweets, and beverage like just talked about. And for DIY spirited customers, meal kits to give like some flexibility, like in the cooking prep efforts. And so like noodle size can vary like according to type of noodle dish. And the toppings, for example, like vegetables are provided in whole maybe, so that like customers can enjoy like chopping them up, like cutting them up, and provide for products in parts. For example, like gyoza skin, like spring roll sheets, like and then peelings, like it's kind of like kits, right? And then they can probably cook them or like put them together by themselves to their liking. And so it's the value a customer perceives, right? Because this is kind of like a formula that we should have in mind, like when we are well kind of like developing like meal kits for our customers, local customers. So to increase the value of customer perceived, right? And then like of course like quality of the products times like how well the customer can prepare them, right? Because we are relying on the customers to prepare the meal from the meal kits, right? So we need to sort of like educate the customers, like or like even train the customers to cook that or prepare the meal kit well as you do. And so the better the price, right? Better how much they pay, how much they are willing to pay for it. And so we need to think about, we need to sort of like have this kind of like equation like in the mind, like when we are developing the meal kits. And so the three things I think like we should kind of think about like when creating like meal kits for your customers, or like customization, and even like customization like further into like customization, like personalization, and I think it's possible with that. Well, like current kind of IT like information technology that we can probably put into like our like ordering system, and educating the customers about like three things, like for example like cooking skills and eating methods and food cultures of like maybe Japanese food culture, like all of the kind of like noodle dishes that you're that are based on like the countries that are the different countries, like for example like Korea, like kalguksu, we did like in Korea. This is from Korea, and then like some of the dishes that we did like the Lanzhou noodles, like from China. So we could talk about these food cultures, and so like we need to educate the customers for better better like eating experience, like dining experience at home with the meal kits. And so for example like noodles, like how to boil, strain, wash, and serve noodles, etc., right? And the soup, sauce, oil, how to how to put together soup, like how to warm it, even, and toppings, like how to prepare toppings, like for example, like protein, fibers, others, and even like we could educate the customers about like cooking tools, like proper cooking tools, like utensils, and of course like culture. We talk about like how to eat different ways, arrangements, etc. And we could probably recommend to the customers that like some of the utensils, like how they use like different food cultures. And so this is like, because this is very, I think this is very important too, because like you're not only like providing foods to your customers, but also information and pieces of cultures. By providing information and stories behind your noodle dishes, we're also like creating a value other than the physical foods to our customers who are willing to pay for such information and experiences of tasting the culture and story. So it's a part of like what we offer, and our customers are willing to pay extra for. Because come to think of it, right? We dine out at a restaurant, especially one that we don't normally eat at, and we are looking for something different, an experience that we cannot normally have at home. But we can now provide it with to our customers, like we can enjoy the experience at home. So we need to be like provided content that no one else in neighborhoods can supply to our customers by constantly talking about food cultures from different parts of the world, ingredients, health benefits of the foods we provide, but whatever our customers care about. So the meal kit noodles, and we can provide, like we can probably let the customers or let the customers customize them to their liking. So I think that like there are 3 points that we should consider like when developing the meal kit noodles for meal kits. And so like we should use like local ingredients, for example, like wheat, flour, like other ingredients like salt, maybe like flavoring materials. So the flavoring materials like that are like locally cultivated, like because we should like aim for like locally produced or locally consumed, like with the mind for kind of like trying to reduce like effects of like global warming as much as possible. And so, and then noodle size, shape, and texture, we can control them by the shape, the thickness, and the hydration of the noodles. And we can probably let the customers like give it like few options, and give a few options with like carbohydrates and other things. And like for example, like noodles, like those sheet, like skins and bow, like in carb, like protein, fiber, etc. Right? And then other items like I already kind of talked about. So the sweets, there you could provide some of the options like sweets, like beverages, probably you can partner up like with the local businesses like that manufacture like produce all these like different items. And so we've seen like a lot of, I mean, some of our customers like are doing like really great job of like providing like these um, meal kits and like in delivery items. So I like to show you like some of them. So this is one of our customers like called like running in Belarus, and they've been doing like this like sushi kind of chain, and then they've been like they're like focused on like a delivery, like early on, like way before like this COVID-19 hit, and so they came up with this like meal kit, like very nicely, beautifully like packaged, like they probably vacuum packaged like each of the noodles, like soups and toppings, and so this is one of the examples from Belarus, and then another example is like from like they're like fat ramen like in Finland, and so they started like this delivery meal kits and like um, like early on like maybe like around like May or June or something. Like so they've been doing this for a while, and then they be like just keep kept coming up with like some new items, and so they're doing very well. And another example is like this is it's actually a udon shop. They have like two shops in Seattle, and well, the owner is actually a graduate of our udon school, and he's been like running these udon shops like for a while, and so he has this website where like you can order like, and then you can choose, you can customize, and then you can um, for example like add protein option, like, and then like gluten-free option, just like vegetarian, like vegan options, and so like like you have a choice of like adding like some other protein, like if you're vegan, there's certain type of like protein that you can choose and order, like, so it's very good sort of like system that he has on his website. And this is like another example, like I this customer like is been doing this in like San Francisco, United States, and so he's been like doing these kits a pack. So like he's been selling these like online, and then it's been doing very good during this COVID-19 period. So some of the examples. So doing like noodle, like we were talking about like noodles, and then like talking about like customization of noodles, and so this is the like some like chart like we've been using for do kind of like put different types of noodles like on this chart in terms of like noodle texture and noodle sizes, and so like as I talked about, like, so like for people like for sort of like DIY kind of spirited customers, I think the noodle size, like, I think they don't really. I think there's like we can probably provide like varying like noodle textures and sizes, and so but the like for like good noodle texture, you can refer to like this chart, what these each type of like noodles are, and ingredients like wheat flour, and like talk about like local wheat flour, and some of our customers, yeah, like in San Francisco area, like they partner with like local milling companies to like kind of develop their own flours, And so like you and so they use the flour to like produce their own noodles. And like what matters is like protein, of course, like protein, like that makes the noodle hard and soft. And ash content like that, well, it's like this, like it makes the color darker, like, and then has like without now, like the flour has a noodle has like kind of stronger wheat flavor. And viscosity is something like how like measure how elastic noodles become. And so all these like elements that you can talk about with the local milling companies to determine like what kind of flour you're looking for your noodles. And hydration is like also very important. Like to higher the hydration, the softer the noodle texture. So it's basically for we're talking about when we're talking about like ramen types of noodles, then we're talking about like low hydration, like between 25 and like 40%. And so basically higher the hydration, the softer, like lower, the harder the noodle texture. And we can talk about the water in terms of like soft and hard to your customers as well. And so like being hard water, like cooking noodles will become like takes longer time. And because of that reason, that like the hard water contains like all these minerals that kind of block these ingredients that are coming out of like noodles. And so it takes longer time if we cook the noodles like in hot water. And so we should use soft water. And so that we can say that to um, when we are making like soups and other things as well, like even like brewing coffee, we should use soft water. And then it tastes better definitely. And it costs your customers less money to cook all these brew like coffee, maybe cook soup. So this is some like piece of information that's probably valuable to your customers as well. So if we have to like work with the hard water, then we should use softener, which like which wouldn't like cost too much, but like saves you a lot of money like in long run. Okay. And also this is like this graph shows the cooking water, and then cooking water noodles. And like when you cook noodles, the noodles melt to the cooking water. And it happens like there's like we lose the most amount of like noodles like when we cook the noodles like in the water that's neutral. And so we should make the water like light acid or like a light alkaline. And like example, like we don't like we use like vinegar, so like that makes the water light acid. So we lose like this amount of noodles in cooking. And when we use the when you cook the ramen noodles, use like kanshi. Kanshi makes the noodle light alkaline, so which makes the noodle. I mean, which helps reduce the amount of like noodles that we lose in cooking. So this is another like piece of information that maybe um, you know I think your customer may be like interested in knowing. Okay, so noodle making processes, and just gonna briefly like talk about them, like, and then well, the most important step in this process, in these processes, is just weighing, I mean, measuring your ingredients and the right ratios. This is the most important, because like if you screw up this process, then step, then your the rest of the process wouldn't matter. So for like if you want to like make if you want to make exactly the same product like over and over, you should measure like your ingredients at the right ratios by weight. Weight, even like in water, and we should weigh it. And mixing, and so resting process. And so this is basically like trying to build like a good dough, trying to build a good foundation for the noodles. And so I'm going to talk about these like when we actually make when we actually make noodles later on the machine. And so thinning, cutting, portioning, resting, cooking, boiling. So for the meal kits, you could talk about these processes, and then your customers like how what kind of efforts like you're putting into your noodles, how they're made from scratch, and then I guess like cooking, boiling, like washing, chilling may be done by your customers. So you should have like some kind of, like certain instructions, cooking instructions attached to your meal kits. And so like this is a ramen noodle machine that we're gonna use to make noodles today. And so this is a cutter that cuts the dough into the noodle strands. This is the kind of cutter we use, so that the width is determined by the like groove size of this sliter cutter, but the thickness is determined by like a roller gap, like set of rollers that we use on the noodle machine. And so this like width, like this is a cross section noodles, and so the width is determined by the cutter size, and the thickness is determined by the rollers, thickness of rollers. And so this shape, right, is very important. It's very important for the noodle texture. Um, so it's something that you need to remember, and when you're making your noodles for meal kits. And so I'm going to talk about that later, like again, like when we actually make noodles in the machine. Then getting the right noodle texture, right? And then so the width like shape is very important, like I said before. And then the thickness, because the water kind of like penetrates into the noodles like from the sides where it's cut, where the like cut surfaces that are cut by the sliter cutter. So the noodle after you cook the noodles, like the noodles like kind of get um, sh it shrinks like that, like, and then has the dents, or the like four dents, right? So then these dents actually carry like the soup sauces. So we should have this kind of shape. The thickness 1.3 millimeter, like with 1.5 millimeter. So there's a like a optimal ratio of like thickness and width to to have the like noodles like shaped like that after cooking. So this is something like we should remember when we are developing our noodles for meal kits. Okay, so that's what I kind of have like for the lecture part. And then so before we start making noodles, I want to just mention about these locations that we have, like Amsterdam, Holland, and like New York, United States, Singapore, and South Korea. So like for those of you like who are interested in like trying out the noodles we make, or like or checking out like how our noodle machines work, and like just because we have like locations like where we have um, sample machines at these locations. So like if you have some access to these locations, please, and then like interested in like trying out our noodles, checking out demos, please feel free to like kind of will contact us, and then like we'll try to like make them available to you guys. And of course, like we can do like a private demo, like remotely, right? Remotely by like Zoom or like Skype or whatever you prefer to use. So for those of you like who are interested in demo, please feel free to like contact us. All right, so like let's get started on like noodle making. So this is a dough rack that you can have like to hold this dough rack, like can hold up to like six of them, six rolling pins, six and then so has so this is a dough that has like spinach powder like kneaded in. These are ramen noodles and ramen dough. And This is a medium water content with the water content like with eggs, right? And then this is actually udon noodle dough, and this is tsukemen, tsukemen noodle dough that has some like whole wheat powder needed in them, and this is a udon noodle dough with the chili powder needed in them. So it's very, very easy to like make these kind of like different types of dough, different hydration ratio, and you can have like different ingredients needed in them. And so, well, for example, like if you're a restaurant, right? If you're a restaurant and like you do like house-made noodles, and you have a machine, right? And then you can just prepare like these different types of dough, and then your customers can probably like kind of choose from these, right? Just giving like customers like few options, right? And then the customers can choose. And so if they want like a spinach noodle, then they like, and you can just start cutting it to like noodle strands, right? So you can have like one portion like this spinach, like few portions like spinach, few servings of spinach noodles like right away, and ready to go for the order. So that's very easy. Okay, so today, so like we're making some noodles today, right? And the type of noodle like we'd like to show you guys today are it's a very famous type of noodle that we have that's originated from like Hakata City, Fukuoka Prefecture, in Kyushu Island. Um, you can look it up like for those people who don't know what it is like where it is like you can look it up on Google. And so this is hydration ratio wise, like this is like considered like a low hydration ratio, like 25%, like 28%, like it's very low, so it's very dry, and which means that it's hard. And so this is the ingredients. These are the ingredients, right? So flour with a like protein content of like about 11%, and we are adding. These are the solid ingredients. We're adding like egg white powder, and this is gluten powder. Gluten powder. So the gluten powder like makes the noodle hard, right? And then this is liquid ingredients. This is salt and a kanshi. Kanshi like basically a combination of potassium carbonate and sodium carbonate, and this is water, right? Water like it's very small amount of water, right? So these are liquid. These are solid ingredients. Okay, so let's get started. And so today like we are doing this event this small room because like our usual place is taken by our ramen school this week. And okay, so this is the Richman one machine, and it's an all-in-one machine. And so like you have everything, right? Everything that you need to start making your own craft noodles, right? And this one has 10 kilograms mixer, 10 kilograms mixer, right? 10 kilograms mixer means that like you can mix up to 10 kilograms of the solid ingredients like flour, egg white powder that gluten powder we talked about, right? And on top of it, you're adding the liquid, right? On top of it, you're adding liquid. So a maximum, you're going to be able to like make up to around like 14 kilograms of dough from this mixer. And the minimum batch is 4 kilograms of solid ingredients. So she's making sure that like all these liquid ingredients like calcium and salt are thoroughly dissolved into the water. And so she's adding the water to the mixer, right? And it's gonna mix it for like 4 minutes first. And so she's added the water, and that like liquid is like dripping through the small holes, right? be added to the flour, and so this allows us to have like very good hydration of dough. So the main purpose of like the mixing is good hydration of dough, and especially this type of noodle, like the mixing time is like long. We talk about like low water hydration ratio. The longer the mixing time. So the total mixing time for this type of dough is 15 minutes, and nobody wants to wait like 15 minutes for 15 minutes just looking at the mixer. So she prepared the dough in advance. So yeah, it's how it's like it's very clever about that. Like she prepared the dough in advance, and so as you can see, and I hope you'll be able to like feel it. I wish you'll be able to like feel the dough. But it's very dry. It's almost like powdery, right? It's very powdery, and so because it's very low hydration ratio, like it's 28% hydration ratio, so it's very dry, and so it's white, and it's like slightly yellow, like pale. It's very pale yellow color, and so what she's doing now is that like she's feeding the dough into the set of rollers, and set of rollers that's like set to just 1 millimeter in roller gap, just 1 millimeter. This is very small roller clearance that this dough is like now like going through because of the dough, like the size of the crumble, like dough crumbles. You have to have this like a very small roller clearance for this dough to be processed into rough sheet of dough, and it's very um, dry noodles, like which means that like it's very hard, right? And so like need to have like really high pressure, like big rollers to like process to be able to like process this type of dough. Um, so that's why this kind of machine exists to be able to like process this type of noodles, and because then this machine has like a very big rollers. The rollers are 163 millimeters in diameters. It's very big rollers. So like yeah, so like I made like some customers who are running ramen shop, like serving this type of noodles at these ramen shops, but like he was making this type of noodles like using the Italian pasta machines, and then like he just like sent me email like, and then he was like so he was like, well, like he was in panic actually, because like the machine like all of a sudden broke, right? All of a sudden broke, and then so it was like he all of a sudden like he has no machine to produce the uh, this type of noodles, like stuff that his restaurant, and like this type of noodles was very popular, right? It's very popular, but all of a sudden like he's left with no machine to produce this type of noodles. So um, so he was in panic, and then like um, so he had to he ordered this machine, and then we had to actually ship it. So that was a story. But like I've seen like a lot of people like who make this type of noodle like in pasta machines, which have like smaller rollers, and then yeah, they just keep breaking, and then the way they break is just like all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden, without like giving any signs that they're gonna die, like so, it's a surprise. Um, so it's a bad thing that could happen, like to your business. Um, you cannot predict that you know, these pasta machines will break like tomorrow. So that's very bad. And so what she's doing now is that like this is what we call like combining process. So as you maybe will notice that the dough is like still fragile, weak. It's easy to like rip it apart like with the hand. Um, so we want to make it stronger. We want to make it firmer. And the way we do it is that like we're gonna feed this. We're gonna separate it two sheets, right? And then we're gonna compound them through the rollers. This way we can strengthen the noodle dough. I mean dough texture. And this time around, that you know we're combining like two separate sheets, right? Two separate sheets, and each of which is was 1 millimeter in thickness. And so supposed to be like the dough that's going the sheet that's going to the rollers is like 2 millimeter, right? One plus one, 1 millimeter plus 1 millimeter, like 2 millimeter equivalent of dough is by going through the roller. So yes, so but like we don't want to thin it like drastically, right? And then so we apply this rule of like 30% rule, 30% reduction rule, and so we at each time like sheeting, like we reduce the roller gap by 30%. So like 2 millimeter, right? 2 millimeter times like 30% and less, right? So that's about like 1.5 millimeter. So she set the roller gap to 1.5 millimeter. And you maybe will notice how smooth the like dough surface is after it's gone through this combining process. So the dough is definitely stronger, um, or firm than before after this process. So we are doing another round of this combining process just to make sure that the gluten structure inside dough is totally developed, and this dough is like strong enough and has a kind of like provides a kind of texture, noodle texture that we look for in this kind of noodles. And I forgot to mention that so this machine, this Richmond one machine is for um, for Japanese markets where nobody, not a lot of people like care about um, sort of like um, with that like machines use like food machineries use like wood for parts. So it has like rolling pins that are made of wood, and rolling pin holders are made of wood. But like for overseas, like we have different model that has rolling pins and rolling pins and like they are made of like stainless steel, and rolling pin holders that are made of resin plastic. Yeah, so we do this combined process like usually once or twice, right? And so up to this point, like we go, just like sheet the dough like slowly to apply like sufficient pressure on the dough to develop like gluten structure inside dough. But after that, after this combined process, right, it's a dough structure like noodle texture, like dough texture is thoroughly developed, right? So all you have to do is just thin it to the final thickness. And from this point on, we can go faster. And so that was 1.5 millimeter like roller gap, like this dough went through. And now we are thinning it at 1.0 millimeter. So we need to like gradually thin it, like to keep the like gluten structure inside dough intact. Like if we thin it like drastically, then we may damage the gluten inside the dough. So we have to like gradually thin it. Okay, so that dough is going through 1 millimeter roller gap, and it's very thin, but but the dough actually bounces back like after it's gone through the roller gap. So the dough thickness is always bigger than the roller gap, and it says like 1.9 millimeter, 1.9 or 1.8 ish millimeters. So like there's a difference between like roller gap and actual thickness for by 0.8, 0.9 millimeter. So it's actually a big difference, and because it's dry dough, like hard dough, the difference, the amount of thickness that dough bounces back after it's going through the roller gap is big. And if you're doing like dough, softer dough like higher hydration dough, then the difference may be smaller. But like we are talking about low hydration ratio noodles, so it's a lot, like it bounces back by a lot. So you always have to like check the actual thickness rather than just like blindly relying on the roller gap of the this machine, because we are dealing with like wheat flour, um, which has a lot of gluten in it. So um, you know that's why it bounces back. Okay, so that was actually 0.7 millimeter roller gap we went through, and there's a different It's 1.4 in actual thickness. So it's like 0.7 millimeter difference. 0.7 millimeter difference. And we're gonna cut it. We'll cut it to noodle strands. And we brought like some different cutters, but like the cutter we're gonna use is number 26. That's about like 1.2 millimeter in width. So we're gonna cut it, right? We're gonna cut it, and we're gonna actually thin it and cut it and portion the noodles. So I think tonkotsu Hakata style noodles are like it's probably the most famous type of noodles in the world because like Hakata tonkotsu, like tonkotsu means the pork bone broth, right? Pork bone broth, and so it's rich, and it's like one of the most like popular soup, like ramen soup in the world. And then so this type of noodle, like it's very thin and hard noodle. It's like famous ramen shops like Ippudo. It's like they have like a lot of like locations like in New York and Europe as well, like in Southeast Asia. And so they serve this type of noodle with their tonkotsu soup. And the portion size is very important. It's very important because they make the portion size, serving size, like it's small. And because the reason for that is that like because like this is thin noodle, and then like thin noodle, like if they serve in the hot soup, the thin noodle gets soft fast, right? Soft fast in hot soup. So they want the customers to enjoy the noodle texture, like this very, very distinctive noodle texture. It's very like kind of like crunchy texture, right? So they want the customers to finish it as fast as they can, right? And then like encourage them to like order additional portions of fresh noodles. So that's why they make the portion size small on purpose to um, to encourage the customers like or order additional portions. So they're like maybe like average serving size of this type of noodles like be like 90 grams to like maybe 110 grams the most in fresh noodle weight. And so you can actually control the noodle length, which determines the serving size. In this machine, it's very easy. Like it just has this length volume, right? You can make it shorter, you can make it longer to have like bigger portion or smaller portion, small size. So it's very easy. And as you maybe would like notice that this machine has multiple motors. So like separate motors for like the mixer, separate motor for the rollers, separate motor for the portioning cutter. So you can do sheeting process while you make another batch on the mixer. So it's very productive and versatile. let's see. Right, so that was the Hakata style tonkotsu noodles, like raw hydration noodles. So it's very easy to make these type of noodles like on this kind of machine. And and as you can see, so we brought up like different different cutters, different size cutters, different shapes of the cutter. Um, so for example, like we have this is a like a kind of round shaped cutter. Um, some ramen shops actually prefer using round shaped cutter. Like makes like kind of like noodles, cross section noodles, like kind of rather oval shape. This is number 20 square cutter. This is actually the most popular cutter for ramen noodles. This is a 1.5 millimeter width, and this number 12 cutter, that's 2.5 millimeter in width. And this kind of cutter is like usually used for tsukemen or like dipping noodles, and sometimes for udon noodles as well. And number 10, even wider. And this is used for like kind of flat ramen noodles, and also like udon noodles. And so like of course like bigger the noodle size, that the higher the hydration ratio, like we should make the dough, um, because we have to like compensate for the bigger noodle size by like making the noodle texture softer to have like kind of balanced noodle texture. So this is just the only like fraction of like the noodles kata sizes, the kata different katas that we have. We just brought like five of them from the second floor of this building, where I usually do the this class. And let me show you guys some of the meal kits um, we, uh, we made. And so this is like a kind of Hakata style ramen noodles, like with the like this is like concentrated soup, but you can definitely have like kind of like fresh soup, like no concentration soup, like just straight soup, right, in the bottle, right, in the bottle, or like maybe a plastic bag, like sealed and like frozen. And this is a topping, and it's very kind of simple packaging. And so this is the the tsukemen noodles, like with the dandan soup, like kind of spicy soup, like kind of this is also like concentrated. And these are the toppings. And so this is the toppings for udon noodles. And well, actually the noodles are missing, but like we can cut them right away, and then put them in put the noodles in there, the package. And so she's I think, yeah, cutting the dough into the udon noodles, and then pack them into the this container. So the dough thickness is about 4. Okay, I think that she's gonna just like thin it first, a little bit, because we prepare the dough, and we can like wrap them like that, because this is what we call like second resting process. So the first resting process, like was after she made the dough from the mixing, right? And then she put the dough in the plastic bag and then let it sit at room temperature for an hour, right? But like in this case, that was the first resting. And then second resting process is like after we do the combining process, remember the combining process? And then we wrap them up, wrap the dough like that to keep them from drying, keep the dough from drying, right? And then just let it sit like that at room temperature. And then that helps further develop the gluten structure inside dough. So this is the second resting process. Okay, so we're gonna cut using number 10, square number 10 cutter. So again, this is like 3 millimeter in width, 3 millimeter in width, right? And the the thickness, final thickness we're aiming at is 2.6 millimeter. So it's kind of long for udon noodles. So I like see like how she like hold the noodles and like kind of well. So instead like rather than like call them like that, like the Hakata style noodle ramen noodles, for udon noodles like she you know twist them and twist them and like kind of like place that in the container. And udon noodles like is of course like high hydration ratio, like so it's prone to like sticking, um, more stickier than like the Hakata style noodles like that's like low in hydration ratio. So we should dust well. We should dust the noodles well. So this is a topping, right? This is a topping, and this is a soup broth stock that we well they our sister company makes this stock actually like it's actually over there like in the room, but like so that's stock and then dashi, that's a hot soup dashi, and then this is the bean curd, I don't know like tofu bean curd, the topping, and then like chopped up scallions, and then uh, the shredded ginger. This is kind of typical kind of hot soup udon noodles that we that we have like in Japan, and so this is just like kind of maybe like simplest examples like of the meal kits, but like in the deliveries and like takeout items, and of course like we've been learning like in how like our and as I showed like how like some of our customers different countries are doing for their meal kits, and so it's very interesting. And then they've been doing like better and better. Like they kept coming up with like a lot of new products for the meal kits, and so it's very interesting, and then I think it's critical for us to like keep continue to develop meal kits and delivery items. And so that's kind of like what we had for for this class. That's it. So thank you so much for joining us and watching us this class, and then we hope to be like see you guys in the next class. So thank you very much. Bye bye.